What are we going to get started with
Well,
today, boys?
I think we get started in the big one in the cricket, and that's the India versus England second test. And we'll take a pretty good look at, I think, who has the upper hand now in the series after, to spoilers, they go 1-1.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, so India tore it up 1 apiece after really getting...
Yeah, spinning to win it.
Yeah, really getting poleaxed in that first test at Chennai.
Yeah, full bounce back, that one.
Yeah, big time. And a big turnaround. I do seem to recall last week we were handing out a few predictions. I said India would bounce back.
Yep.
They did. Very different teams in this. I think there was
from both sides,
seven changes between the two sides. Macca, do you want to run us through a little bit?
Yeah,
what
we'll start
there?
with the visitors, England. They swapped 500 wickets, or 600 wickets for Jimmy Anderson with 500 wickets for Stuart Broad. I thought that was an interesting one, especially the way Anderson had them hooping. We were talking about foot on the throat. You'd think Anderson,
Didn't we think they'd bring Broad in for someone else?
Yeah, well, for Archer, who
was hurt.
he hurt his hand, and they brought in Ollie Stone, who also bowls wheels.
He's really good. I was having a look at his action today. So clean.
Yeah. Not the deck for him, unfortunately. We'll get into that a bit more, but he's got a bright future. Keeper swap for the Pommies with Butler being rested for Ben Folkes, who I thought had a really tidy game. Behind the stumps, especially on that spinning wicket. And offie Bess out for Moeen Ali, who also has been shrouded in a bit of controversy, if you would, over the past couple of days. For the home team, Washington Sundar has to be one of the most filthy people in the world. Dropped after making 80-odd. I think would have been 3 tests, 4. When did he come in for the Aussies series? 3 or 4 games, not too bad.
He's not too many.
Kuldeep Yadav in for him.
It's 3 tests, isn't it? Did he play?
I think 2 plus the first.
Yeah, no, he would have played the first two in this, and he played 2 in Australia.
He's only played 2, I think. I think he played the last.
Anyway, not
the
many.
last one in Australia, and this one here. I think he's played 2.
He was out also with Nadeem, and Jasper Bumrah was rested. Mohammad Siraj came in to watch a bit of cricket for a couple of days.
Roll the arm over for 6 overs or something.
And Axar Patel, who made his debut, and he had quite a great test match, especially that 4th innings. He took a bit of the shine from Ravi Ashwin. I think people were going to think he was going to have a 10 for, but Axar had different ideas. So, like you said, 7 changes. When a team wins so dominantly as England do, you think the other team would have more changes, but England were actually the one that sort of flipped half the team. But
let's talk about, I guess, there's the resting/rotation policy that England seem to have going, because that makes sense with, I guess, Jimmy Anderson. He's a really old man, so they've been playing Test cricket for the better part of the last 2 months. So probably want to give him a little bit of a break and rest those old weary legs and arms. But still, you'd think, this is a premier series for them.
Absolutely,
You'd want your best 11 you could have out there, especially with you lose Archer, that you think you'd want Anderson and Broad. But maybe they took one look at this pitch and thought, it's probably not going to be Jimmy Anderson's day.
True. Couldn't be. Yeah, maybe they honestly might have looked at the deck and gone, we're going to be doing very well to win this with the spinners they have. Do we just try and blood some youth, or do they stick strong? They said we're going to do this rotation policy, and it doesn't matter if we win. I just thought going 1-0 up in India, if you win one more game out of the next 3, you can't lose the series. So why not get on top of it straight away, especially with all the momentum? India are going to be chopping and changing. I thought it bizarre, but they must just be sticking to their guns. The only forced change there was Jofra, but again, on a deck like that, is Jofra. He's not going to be really scaring you with the short ball. The ball wasn't, bouncing above waist high for the quick. So,
then would you say, would you have both Bess and Ali in the team if you've looked at that deck in the morning and gone, this is going to spin?
They've got Jack Leach as well. So would they go 3 spinners? Or India, I suppose. Picks
I
3
think
spinners.
Bess and Ali, the way they bowl, they're both quite similar. Off spinners. They're not. Ashwin, we know what he does with his hands, but Jack Leach, obviously left arm orthodox. If you've got a spinner from each end and they're spinning in opposite directions, that's ideal. If you're going to have someone, Ali, you take Ali off the bowl, you put Bess in, it's just effectively the same bowler. I mean, again, I'm not a selector for England. I'm not involved in their policy. They thought this was what was best, and they got pants for it. But I mean, the pitch was a big talking point. I think people thought some people early. I know I saw Michael Vaughan on Twitter saying this is unplayable, unacceptable for Test cricket. We can't absolutely can't be playing on this. How dare you?
Well, I don't think Warney then came and said, well, India batted on day one and it seemed all right for them.
Yeah, exactly right.
Spinners sticking up for spinners.
No shocks there. But yes, we talked about predictions a bit earlier. I think last week I was thinking for some of the changes of the team. I thought Rohit Sharma could use a bit of time out, and he told me to fuck off and hit a casual 160 on an absolute turning deck where no one could see it. So shout out to you, Rohit. I'm glad I got to fire you up. And,
well, they must be listening. You said something else about another Indian, remember?
Yeah, Mr. Pant behind the stumps. I said he couldn't catch a ball to save himself, and he was flying around left to right like he had a trampoline. So we fired up the West Indies team a couple of weeks ago. I've fired up a couple of the Indians. Now I need to get on the Aussies a bit more, I think, to fire them up.
Maybe there can only be one conclusion, and that is these test teams must be listening to our podcast and going, fuck these guys, we're gonna go out and score 160 or
show these guys,
take some screamers left, right, make diving stumpings.
Absolutely. So Rohit or Rishbar, please give us a shout out on any of your socials. That'd be great. Get a bit of a following. Would be good.
Washington 2 test match.
Two.
What'd you say? 170 runs.
Yeah. So in those 2 tests, because he had that 70 odd against us.
Yep.
And then he had 85, I think, in the first.
Yeah.
So with the bat, he's averaging 56 through 2 tests, batting 7, which is unreal. I suppose the counter argument and what the Indian selectors were thinking, we're picking him to be a spinner. He's not getting picked on his batting. And in those 2 tests, he's got 4 wickets at 67. So I suppose that was the thinking.
Yeah. The bloke they brought in.
Yeah,
Akshar came in and went ham, and they brought in Kuldeep, who had a reasonable game. Nothing.
See, there you go. There's your third spinner, left arm wrist. So they've got 3 different types of spinners.
Yeah.
And again, Kuldeep didn't do too much. He didn't have to because the other 2 offies were absolutely destroying the Pommies. Run us through it, Peps.
Before you do that, I just wanted to finish up on this. We talked about England chopping and changing. I just want to finish up the point of India being able to make changes to their side, because we've talked all summer about Australia. They've got 11 and that's about it. And you see India, like even someone like Washington, who's done well with the bat, they've gone, well, we lost. You're meant to be a bowler. We're going to change it, and we're going to make changes, and then bring in really strong talent that can then roll over a team like England and put them to the sword a week after they just had the opposite happen to them.
We have spoken about it before on the Esky, is that the depth of the Indian team at the moment in all formats is unprecedented.
Yeah.
The ability to just go, we can pick 3, 4, 5, 6 spinners that can be elite at test level is unreal.
As well as, Jasper Brummer wasn't in this game, and we think of him as one of the, 2 or 3 best quicks in the world at the moment.
Yes,
so.
I think he was sore. I don't think it was just a rotation kind of thing. I think it was a forced move. However,
again, he doesn't play, and they get 20 wickets. Yeah. Like if you can now add Jasper Brummer to that. Yes, granted it's a spinning deck. I wouldn't want to Jasper Brummer bowling that. Yeah, he doesn't matter what surface. He could get you out on glass. So. Run us through the game, Pep.
Yeah, so as aforementioned, Rohit Sharma, he must have listened to us bagging him, saying he shouldn't be a test cricketer. Obviously one of the most accomplished ODI cricketers of all time. Goes out and scores 161. Did you see him early on? He was scoring about a run a ball for his first 50. Just sort of brought it back a little bit as some guys were falling around him. India make 329. You look at that. Obviously, in hindsight, you think that's an excellent score on this deck. Yeah. At the time, I was thinking,
it's solid.
Well, I was thinking England scored 500 at this same ground last week. I thought maybe that was a little bit unders. Boy, was I wrong. Jinka Rahane, he came out after his 1 run, two knocks. Did get a few nuts in the first test. He had 67, and that man Rishabh Pant, he had a quick 558. I think he should be India's keeper for the next 10 years.
He's in good nick. He's with the bat. He is
unreal. And just
gets after it.
Hits the ball so cleanly, and he could be one of those. He could be a Kohli type where it's just 3 formats, pick and stick, doesn't matter. Like he's the guy. Moeen Ali seemed to be a reasonable inclusion in this. He went for a bit, but he got 4 poles for 128. And that Ollie Stone that we mentioned, I think he's only in about his. Can we have a little look at Ollie Stone?
Early 20s, I think. Ollie,
Yeah,
he's
and
only-
he'd be under 10 tests. I think he had 3 for 47. Like we said, a really nice, clean action. Pushes the high 140s. Probably not a real paceman's deck, but I would hate to be facing him in an overcast, Headingley type green deck. I think he'll have a bright future ahead of him. Coley, he out for a duck. There was
Absolute pitch, though.
reasonable ball there from Moeen Ali. Coley has not scored a international 100 for 34 innings.
It's something like 460 days or something.
Yeah, it's a long
Pushing up
time.
there. In saying that, he batted well in the second innings. We'll get to that. He's
getting scores.
he's getting scores, but he's not getting tons. He he had to cut. He didn't play here.
Guys are getting out around him. So
Yeah, he didn't play here because of the birth of his child.
Yeah.
You can't discount Virat Kohli, but year and a half, about nearly a year and a half since he's raised his bat and taken his hat off. So
Yeah, November 19 was the last time against Bangladesh. So he's had 12 test innings since then. No tons. He does.
Kohli out, perhaps drop Kohli. Let's make that the headline.
there's a few comments
There
on
was a comment
Comes
or
up
two.
there.
Yeah, that
saying
was
he
suggesting
does nothing for us as captaincy, and he's not hitting runs. Get rid of him.
very bold.
And I was like, well, she's goalie, mate. He's
Depth's all right,
he's
but I
still third or fourth in the world.
He is one of the best cricketers of all time. I probably wouldn't be dropping him anytime soon.
No, not at all.
You know what this is? This is exactly the same kind of chat that was getting thrown around Steve
Steve
Smith.
Smith,
Yeah, wins the AB medal.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a bit more noise than news. I think in that time as well, he does have 950, so he's been doing his job.
Yeah, well, he got 72 in the last one, and he was not out, I think, in that, because everyone else got out around him.
Possibly.
He was
Can
the
we have
last
a look
one
at
there.
the
So
second innings stats there. Have you got Ollie Stone there as well?
Yeah, so 2 test matches.
age.
Yeah, so he's 27.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So he's
Probably
cricket
been-
young.
yeah.
Cricket young,
Yeah.
yeah.
Probably been around the county system a fair bit.
Yeah, definitely.
But look at Mark Wood can't get in there. Like, you've obviously got Broad and Anderson on the back end, so they're not going to lose
Chris
much.
Wokes, he's pretty handy.
Yeah. Joffre, like there, England.
Yeah, they got
Did
some,
you want to talk
they got
about
some
depth?
fast bowling
Yeah,
stock.
yeah.
Yep.
Did you see Kohli when he got out? He didn't want to walk. Yeah, he
Oh,
wanted to.
when he got bowled
wanted to
by
watch it.
Ali.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Because he wasn't
What do you
sure, because he got
Oh, hit the stumps.
Yeah, he got complete.
Yeah.
I think he thought maybe had come off punts, but like his gloves, like it ricocheted and then topped the bowlers off.
Off
Folks' gloves.
Folks, sorry, yeah, the other way around.
If you can't
Yes.
have pants gloves, you'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
the same as what were you saying last week?
Kelsey instead of Gronk. Yeah. Get him back to front. But the English wicketkeeper had knocked the bails off, so there was thoughts that he might look at trying to review it with the DRS, but they were like,
Tough look when you don't
Is
walk
this-
when you get bowled.
yeah,
Very tough
and
look.
get an absolute peach. You're just like, what the fuck's just happened to me?
You know
But
what?
He
he's
couldn't
gone.
believe it.
It's
Yeah.
very encouraging, because you play park cricket, you're never out.
Yeah, absolutely not.
You
have to
the
ri-
bottom of the middle. Right? Well, it's the keeper must.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
That stump gets removed from the ground. I want to see it.
And it's nice to see that the same sparks between the brain and the actions of a human are the same between me and the captain of captain of India. Fucking catching your
Yeah,
decision.
exactly. It's spreading.
It's so funny to see. I wasn't out. What I got middle to middle? Nah.
No, not walking.
Have a look at the TV.
That's it. So in the first innings, Kohli got 11 off 48, and then
The second-
72 off 104.
Not
Not
out.
out.
No, I think you got out.
I think
got
he
out.
got out too.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the
Sorry,
first.
he got
test,
bowled by Stokes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Run us through England's first innings.
Skittled, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went
100
straight through them.
134. This was when the deck started looking
Real turny.
very nasty. There was a lot of turn. Obviously, I think
A lot of
something.
bounce.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to
Oh,
talk
sorry.
about.
I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
The bounce, I think, was just about more deadly than the turn. There's guys trying to get on that front foot, and just really smother the ball, and it's bouncing a foot away from their bat and just going.
Yeah.
And you saw sometimes punt was taking a half volley off the spinners.
Yeah.
up here. I think that's more devastating sometimes than the lateral.
Oh,
movement.
absolutely right. And they had numbers around the bat. There was always a leg slip or a leg, a short leg. The slips were involved. And Ravi Ashwin, his great talent is the bounce he gets. He's quite tall. He gets that natural bounce anyway. So you, like Pep said, I saw a couple of times. Pommies would come down for a front foot or a sweep, and they'd wear one in the grill. Happened a couple times. So that you're clearly not picking the ball up. You're just going to get out. There were a couple of sharp catches at short leg.
Didn't Root top one as well.
Yeah.
Like trying to do a sweep and it just popped up. Like missed
So
on.
and if you can't sweep in India, then if you can't, that's how. I mean, Matty Hayden used to always say that's how you play the spin in India. If you can't sweep, then you've got you're batting for time, which Ben Folkes did
biggest
quite.
Weapon taken away from you.
Ben Folkes was the only one to really put up a fight there. He actually was sort of gritty, real gritty. Hung in there,
and he had 42. Not Ravi Ashwin 5 for 43. Opened the bowling in this, so the Indians knew straight away that there's going to be a little.
Just tells
toss him the new ball. Good luck.
Yeah, a little bit of turn in this.
Yeah, and even with the newer ball, with the seam so pronounced, that helps that bounce. Like you think of a quick hit in the seam and it moving. Well, the principle with the spinner is exactly the same. But instead of just, doing a little bit off there to get you an edge, it's, moving 2 meters. So.
Yeah. How about the Indians in the field for a change?
Yeah.
Like, considering they weren't.
It was good of them to show up.
Yeah, it wasn't real great, the Australian series, their fielding, but they've definitely got a lot better playing back in India.
It's definitely something that we've spoken about before, and we were speaking about it, even after they beat us down here 2-1 a few months ago, is that if India start fielding at an elite level,
just keep adding
perhaps
it to
old
the list.
Australian or South African teams of the past, go just about close to being unbeatable. It's probably been one of the points where they may have been a little bit lackluster in the game.
It's a point of difference for, say, the other
Absolutely.
team. Like the Australian teams as an example.
Catches win matches.
And it's been over a period of time. It's a weird thing for a country that's so in love with cricket and devoted to it. Like, they're just the simple fielding mistakes. But that wasn't the
batting and they love bowling.
Yeah, exactly. No one wants to field. It's the old backyard treatment.
Did not show in this second test here in Chennai because the fielding was absolutely immaculate. Obviously, we've spoken about Rishabh Pant. He's listening to the podcast. He's saying these 4 Aussie idiots that sit around drinking beers and knocking my keeping. He took some absolute screamers, left hand, right hand.
With the spinners, I think his big thing was he struggles against the spinners, like with catches and stumpings, even buys, but he was on the money. I don't think there were even any extras in the innings, which tells you a bit, From
what I saw, he did not have any dramas with the spinners. And in a deck that had a few landmines in it, he looked really good. Rahane had a really nice catch there, coming forward at slip, like sort of one of those ones where your arms... his elbows hits the ground before the ball's there and managed to contain the ball. Couldn't fault the Indians in the field in this one. A little interesting point here. Mohammad Siraj comes in, obviously, for Jasprit Bumrah.
Yep.
He didn't get the ball till the 38th over, picked as a strike bowler. And he also got... a pole first ball.
I've been staying in the field for bloody a session and a half.
I don't know if you guys saw it. It was a rank wicket.
It was mud.
It was shit gets wickets personified. It was a hip height, down leg side, should have been pulled for 6, probably. And I forget who the batsman was, but just got a little bit of an inside edge and Pant.
That was the catch.
Going, horizontal to his left, stuck it, in the little
Was
webbing.
it Stokes?
No, it was a righty.
Can you have a look at Siraj's first wicket? There was a right-hander.
Yeah, Ollie Pope.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And
he was just sort of looking to just sort of play it down to fine leg, got a little bit thin, and then Pant has taken an absolute screamer off that. So, Siraj,
there you go.
Patience.
There you go.
He's sat out and he's fielded as a strike bowler for 37 overs.
King Coley, what a captain.
He gets the rock. Captain's call, 38th over. Let's bring on our strike bowler for his first ball, and he gets one with an absolute rank.
What do you think?
I think he was out 2 overs late. I think 2 overs late, you've had enough.
What do you think? 5 overs in that first inning. I think he bowled 5 overs.
What do you think the chat was? Did Coley just go to him and go, mate, Ashwin just needs a break for a couple hours?
I think that's probably...
Honestly, you talk about spelling the quicks. You're bowling a spinner.
Well, Ravi probably had bowled 15 straight at that stage, and they were probably like, yep, you need a break. Let's spell in our quick strike bowler to come in for a lazy 5.
But
So then he bowled, 10 of the 58 overs? in
Yeah,
that
so
innings?
between Ishant Sharma and Mohammad Siraj, they bowled 10 overs out of 58, I think 5 apiece. It's so different over there, isn't it? To think of that ever happening down
exactly.
under, it is the other side of the world, and I guess the cricket reflects that.
I was thinking, and this is a bit off script here, but if we were to go to India right now and on that deck, who are the 3 spinners we pick?
That's a great question.
You
Obviously,
know, like,
obviously Lyon gets a gig.
Take the goat.
You'd probably want a leg spinner.
Swepson, I guess, is
Swepson,
there.
I guess,
Like,
but his shield record is
Yeah.
Pooey and then
underwhelming. Probably a better shield bowler than Zampa has been. Obviously, Zampa,
I think he's pretty much
unreal
given up the red
in
ball.
the short form. And then, I don't know.
That's what I mean. John Holland? Is it John Holland or something like
played well
that?
today in the Shield, the last few days in the Shield.
Do you take 2 specialists and then use someone like Labuschagne as your third to
Yeah,
spell?
Labuschagne and Smudge. Like, and you hope
But
that
some rank.
Pat Cummins can even bowl on that. Like this is what we're talking about India's depth. We've got a tour coming up to India not too far away. If it's like this, then I have
We need to find some
329 is absolute. We're cheering if we get 320.
And that's a great impromptu point that you bring up there, Mac, because I couldn't tell you with confidence who our best 3 spinners are at Test cricket.
Well, our best if Swepson's our second best, then that's where we're at. Whereas even England, like Jack Leach is a very handy bowler.
Yep.
Obviously, his stats are going to be a bit enhanced on this deck, and you can talk about pitching conditions for so long, but it's so true. Like in cricket, what pitch you play on is so important to the outcome of the game. That's why India winning here is huge. That's why England pantsing India in the first test is so big. That's why we love this game, because it's the intricacies that we love. So a little bit off track, but
it's an interesting point.
Bring back Xavier Doherty.
Xavier.
Do you want to go through
Ever play a Test match, Xavier Doherty?
We had a couple datas. I think in India it was a similar situation where they
Xavier Doherty.
Didn't they take Zampa over to Pakistan?
I think Zampa has played for Australia, but his red ball numbers are just
horrible.
I don't think it was great, Do you want to run through the second innings?
Yes, so India go out, obviously, with a lead of close to 200. They were just off enforcing that follow-on. I think they're 195 lead.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't have done it, I wouldn't have thought.
They probably wanted to give Ashwin a break, but Ashwin had other ideas.
Indeed. I don't know in India if you'd ever want to enforce a follow-on.
No.
You don't want to be batting on a day 4, day 5 crumbling pitch there in
Exactly
Chennai
right.
or anywhere else in the subcontinent. So India go out there. They make a reasonably quick 286. I think this was close to 4 and over. Ravi Ashwin, 106.
Your day. Your game,
106
Ravi.
batting 8.
Sure, Pfeiffer.
We were talking about him last week, I think, about his batting.
Batting behind Sundar. So that's how high they thought of Sundar. But then Ravi said, all right, I'll pick up slack.
Picked up his 5th Test ton, which is pretty unbelievable considering he's not. They don't consider him an all-rounder. He's picked on his bowling, and it just happens to be able to bat a fair bit.
Yeah.
Hadn't scored a ton since 2016. It was one of the old boys on the ABC radio that I was listening to our summer down under. I think if you split his Test career into like a first half and a second half with the bat, I think his first half he was averaging in the high 30s.
Yeah, right.
And then in his second half, it's like about 17. So he's obviously
Taylor too, sorry.
had put the bat away a little bit in the nets and focused more on his bowling.
Yeah.
Didn't matter here. Massive knock for them.
Well, I'll tell you, sorry, before we move off Ashwin's batting, 100 and a 5 in a game.
Who's done that? Both of them?
He's done it 3 times.
Yeah. I think he's second behind, I think Ian Botham.
Botham's done it 6 or 7 times, which is wild. Like
unbelievable.
that's a great cricketer. I imagine Jacques Callis would be up there, but I just thought the other 2 were against the Windies, I think, but not to discredit who you're playing. I mean,
we'll get to that in a
yeah,
second.
exactly right. But I mean, that's a very good cricketer. That's an all-round dominant.
Yeah, genuine all-rounder.
You'd be sick of him, wouldn't you, if you were the Pommies? Like, this guy's just ripped us, and now we got to chase
He's
the
batting
ball
8.
out.
Like, come on.
He had an unbelievable Test match. Obviously, named man of the match in this one. We were possibly thinking, could he have 110? 10. There's only a very few. I think maybe 3 people that have ever done that. I think both of them is one, and Shakib Al Hassan. Shout out to any Bangladeshis, I believe, has done that. So they make 286. Kohli has 62. Moeen Ali, justifying his selection, had another 4 here for 98. He ended up with 8 for 200 odd in the test, and Jack Leach 4 for 100. Nothing to really write home about there from the English bowlers. So the target set was 482. That would have had to break all kinds of records.
They did not make 182.
They were never
482.
No,
They didn't even make 182.
they fell a little short of the 482. They were bowled out for 164. Akshar Patel 5 for 60, justifying his inclusion in this team.
It's his Michelle Pfeiffer, yep.
It's interesting looking at these guys because we've spoken about Washington Sundar. We were talking about Shahbaz Nadeem in the last. There's obviously a breeding ground for these guys over there.
7 wickets on debut, like that's an amazing.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to make Jimmy do this because we've got 200 years of cricket to look through. But I mean that's a great effort. It won't be an all record, but again, look at that.
Taking 5 for
You'd think he keeps his spot. However, we've been very wrong.
Well,
we've
I'm not
been
making
trying
it.
to select these.
They
I'm not
won
making
this
it.
test, so hopefully they
I
stick
think
with it.
Akshar Patel keeps his spot here. And then I think the most interesting and poignant point of this whole test, the spinners took all 10 wickets in this England second innings
And 32 of the 40.
Yeah.
of the overs.
Of the all wickets. There was
All
one.
Across all the innings of the 40 wickets on available, spinners got 32.
And Root was run out, so the Quicks took 6 wickets.
Yeah.
That's 7.
Seven.
No,
Yeah,
7, sorry.
Yeah, 7.
It's been a long day.
Quick math on the Esky.
It was a long
maths
math
on the Esky.
long maths lesson for Mr. McGrath today. But
A short tangent here. I was speaking with your friend Simo. Shout out to Simo Van Meurs. If you're listening on the Esky today, talking about us teaching long division still to third graders. I think it's an absolute rort. Get rid of it. Never used it. You can just use a calculator for your quick math. Third graders, if you're listening, don't listen to Mr. Van Meurs about your long.
Ignore Mr. V. You don't need it.
Listen to on the Esky for all your sporting needs and fuck that long division off.
Exactly.
There are something called calculators that have been invented.
Well said.
I wonder if we can figure out how to do some long division on the Esky. Just to fuck with it.
Let's not try.
Don't. That
So-
will take us a long time.
I think I got the best figures in an innings on debut.
Yep.
We've got Albert Trott back in
This will be back.
1895.
Oh, I remember that was good.
Yeah,
Good,
Trotty. He knew my great
Trotty,
grandfather.
yeah.
Old Trotty.
That's it.
What do you have?
27 overs, 10 maidens, 43 runs, 8 wickets.
8 for 43.
8 for 43 debut,
So,
if you don't mind, at 1800.
Akshar's 5 for 60 is obviously a long way down, I'd imagine.
That's why Jimmy's the best in the business. He's all the way. He's digging through the archives.
He's quick. He's
That's
gone
why
back
he's on there, the monkey.
125 years.
So I think we'll finish up. We've got 1 or 2 more points to finish up the England and India series. Second test match. So the next one's next weekend. So it's in 7 days.
Hyderabad, I think they go
Hyderabad.
to for the last 2 tests there.
Similar.
Similar.
Yeah. I wonder if it's going to be, because it was a whole new deck. This was a whole new pitch. Is it going to be the same thing? Are we going to have a worn down ground? God, I'm no curator, but I can't imagine having 2 test matches so close together.
Yeah.
It's good for the surface.
And I assume these boys aren't doing drop-in pitches either. So.
No, that's not the way of the
no
ending.
chance.
No.
So they'd go. You'd have some, guys fielding in nice and close, running over the other wicket.
Crowds. I think the crowd was a massive part of this one as well. I mean,
no crowd in the first one and crowd in the second.
which and I mean,
And it
Huge
didn't seem to
difference.
be any social distancing or corona
God,
rules.
it was get in there and get loud, and through Fox Cricket, shout out Fox Cricket. It was loud. It was, and
I felt like I was watching cricket in India.
exactly right. Which again, nature is slowly healing, but that's a part of it as well. We're looking at the Australian Open. No crowds. We'll get into that a bit later. But you're facing Ravi Ashwin. You're trying to bat for a test match. You've got 3 blokes standing around you. Now the noise is involved. Like this is international sport. This is the battle that we love to see. So.
Yeah, and you give your wicket away, and you get absolutely
Yeah, you get your
fed for it.
Get off quickly because it's a lot. Yeah,
And if you've got the pads on, and you're watching nervously, thinking if you're going to be out there, and your teammates just gotten out, and you hear that roar of the crowd, I think it does play into your mind.
Oh, absolutely.
I think
Big
it's a
time.
massive advantage for the Indians, and it showed in this game.
Yeah, big time.
So let's talk about Moeen Ali. He's returning home, so he'll miss the next 2 tests in India.
What Why is he going home? Do you know?
Well, we talked a little bit at the start about the England rotation policy, and it sounds like it's part of that kind of policy. Plus, he did have to do quarantine coming back across to join the England squad, so he had to do his 2 weeks. Then I think there's another month I think he's missed as well. So it's been about 6 weeks or so that since he's been, home or seen any family. So I think it was the English team always had available to him to do a rest period or, to take a break at this point. So, of course, they've offered that to him and he said, yeah, I've got 2 young kids. I haven't seen them in a while. I want to go home and check, be with the family and I need a break. So they've done that. And, the media, well, not so much the media, but the fans kind of said, he's been the scapegoat. They've booted him off or he's quitting on the team and all that sort of stuff. But I think the English cricket team came out and tried to clarify today that no, it was always on the cards. We'd pre-planned this. I was always available to Ali and he's made the decision to go home for we missed the rest of the series.
Yeah, I think, and with the T20s coming out, they're going back to India to play T20s.
Yes,
so it was one of those, do you miss 3 months and don't see it? He has got 2 young children. This could be wildly wrong. I'm pretty sure he had COVID. That's why he actually had to have an isolation or lockdown. So in a foreign country, it's hard enough when you're touring with the team. He had to do a little bit separate. He's taken 8 wickets. He went for a bit. I didn't do much with the bat at all. But
he batted a quick 40, I think.
They made less than 300. Nothing with the bat.
Not in this one.
It's one of those ones they've said, look, there's a 3-week turnaround. Like we said, they're coming and going. He said, yeah, I'll come back. I'll play T20. If we're thinking about England as a whole, I'm thinking of Moeen Ali as a coloured. He's a white ball cricketer.
Yeah.
He's in the test team, I guess, because it's a spinning deck. And, Dom Bess, again, it was a rotation policy.
Yep.
Moeen Ali's a coloured clothes player. He's that's who I see long term. That's when he's played his best cricket.
Yep.
And he's agreed with that. And I think, the Pommies are just building it up. It seems like, what are you quitting? You're picking and choosing when you can play. But it's much ado about nothing for me. But that's why England cricket fans are morons. So shout out to them.
Expect Dom Bess to be straight back in this side for the third test.
Again, it's a like for like situation. I think you got how many off spinners do you have on a turning deck? You put in Dom Bess again, good young cricket player. So
What did you dig up there?
Yeah, you're right. Samoan had COVID in the Sri Lanka test.
Yeah, that sounds
missed
right.
all that.
Yeah. So it was a pretty intense. I mean, imagine being in Chennai, being isolated, wherever they were in Sri Lanka, like that. That's hard. That's hard. Talking to your family on Skype, not even playing cricket. So yeah, absolutely. Got all the power to him.
There's one last thing I want to touch on before we move on to the other cricket news. A lot of people say you win the toss in India, you win the game. The last series between England and India, you guys know the result. India got absolutely routed England.
Yes, I was going to say rooted, but routed as well.
England got Joe rooted in this game. Let's put it that way. In this series, I should say, they got absolutely spanked 4-0. You know who won all the tosses in this?
England.
Yeah. So obviously, winning the toss is a massive advantage in any cricket venue in the world. Yeah. It's probably a little bit more pronounced on the subcontinent. Does it predict the outcome of the game? No,
absolutely not. And there's talks of, and it's very much the radicals of people who think Test cricket needs fixing. But the last 18 months have just proven that it's just amazing, it is the alpha of cricket.
It's the pinnacle.
There were radicals saying, all right, the away team gets to choose what they do because the toss is so important. If the home team wins a toss, it's game over type situation. Which, probably, but that's part like we talk about. The ground you play on, the team you play against. That's why you need India have a pool of 20 players. They can mix and match who they pick. When they play in Australia, of course they're going to play their best 3 quicks. When they play in Chennai, they're going to play 3 spinners. And again, that's our problem where we actually don't have that big pool where we can chop and change for like for like.